My favorite author is undoubtedly George MacDonald, who was born in 1824 not far from Aberdeen, Scotland. He is considered by many to be one of the founders of modern fantasy writing, but he also wrote novels, poetry, and nonfiction. Every story he wrote carried so much more depth than merely entertainment. MacDonald was a major inspiration to C.S. Lewis, J.R. Tolkien, and many other known writers. He also knew Lewis Carroll, Longfellow, Mark Twain, Ruskin, Walt Whitman, etc. He's someone who had a very profound impact on the literary world and far beyond, and his books still hold such resonance even today. George MacDonald's writings have had a profound influence on my life, and I find myself returning to them again and again. One of his more unusual and hard-to-grasp books is called Lilith. It recounts the story of a man who inherited a family mansion with a vast library. In this house, he would occasionally catch glimpses of someone in a dark coat taking books from the far end of the library. Eventually, he follows this fellow up into the attic, and while pursuing him, he accidentally trips into a mirror, which happens to be a portal to another world. Here, he encounters the man he was chasing, but he is not a man at all. Instead, he is a raven, or at least raven-like in this other world. After asking the raven so many questions, the raven begins to show him around and reveals to the man that he hasn't left his house at all. The raven explains that over there, that large tree grows nearly straight up where your chimney sits, and that wild hyacinth he points to grows among the strings of the piano, giving it a peculiar sweetness when played. Perhaps it may comfort you, said the raven, to be told that you have not yet left your house. Neither has your house left you. At the same time, it cannot contain you or you inhabit it. Slowly, this man begins to awaken to the fact that these two worlds are intertwined, though he had never even perceived of there being another world other than the one he grew up in. Much like the house in this story, each of us is part of two distinct but intertwined worlds. We're very familiar with one of them. We know our way around the world of visual and physical stimuli, the world of work, activity, and relationships. We feel like we know all about color, smell, taste, and touch. All of our intellectual faculties and even our top-level emotions seem to be part of this world. For most people, this is the only world they know, the world of our amazing everyday life. Yet there is also another deeper layer beneath the noise and the chaos. It lies below like the bedrock on which everything stands. A central part of ourselves that we are rarely in touch with inhabits this world. Here our deepest desires, pains, and hopes reside. Here in this hidden world we find an awe-inspiring expansiveness. Some who have traveled these parts refer to it as the great abyss. Others refer to it as a vast cavern. This is the residence of our soul, so much bigger than we would ever expect. All around us, there's more happening than a surface glance reveals. The most important things of life are not the obvious things that we see or that fill our evening news, but rather their very source, which cannot be easily perceived. In many ways, you and I are like icebergs, with far more hidden below the surface than anyone might realize. Yet our tendency is to address each other only in those parts that stick above the water. We need a deeper engagement with each other and with our world. We need to learn to see below the surface and to address people and issues in our world with an awareness of what lies below. Not only do we reside in two worlds, but there's a deeper story taking place beneath the surface that we're all a part of, though we may not realize it. I'm sure you've caught glimpses of it. You may have encountered it out in the wilderness or after a traumatic event. For it is only when all the outer stimuli fades that we begin to notice it. And when we do, our lives begin to change. In those times of clarity, we begin to see the bigger story that we're a part of, and our two worlds begin to come together into a congruent whole, much in the same way as Mr. Raven saw the house not as two different worlds, but as one integrated whole. Oh, the two worlds, how strangely are they one. Bringing these two worlds together within ourselves is the journey of a lifetime. If we could even begin to awaken to the hidden silent world that exists behind all of the activity, to notice what is happening beneath the surface in ourselves and around us, then we may begin to awaken to a new way of seeing and also a new way of being.